It's New Comic Book Day. So here's the routine again. Starting off with last week's reads. New Gods, number 11. This is Ramby's New Gods series. I think I was kind of worried because for the last few issues, it wasn't really telling much or moving the story much, but definitely in issue 11, things are ramping up, especially because the finale is the next one. I am hoping that there will be more New Gods after this. Like, I know the run is ending, but I hope there may be some follow up, maybe sequel of some sort, because I really like the New Gods, and I definitely think there's more story to be told with them. For this specific issue, we get a lot of really cool moments, starting off with like Black Racer. We get Big Barda actually going big, colossal. I don't know if this is like a new power or something she's always been able to do. I've never seen her do that. Maybe it's like New Gods in general can change their size, or just her. But either way, it's really cool. We get a lot of like little moments, like with Orion and Scott Free, Mr. Miracle. I think it's cool when they give them like little brotherly moments and stuff. They do have kind of like a kinship with how they were raised and, the nature of being traded off by birth. I think probably the big part of this issue that a lot of people would be talking about is Desaad's true face being revealed. I don't know if anyone was expecting that. I definitely wasn't. But it seems like it's very much like Orion, where Desaad keeps his face looking disfigured and ugly on purpose. Kind of like this weird part of being obsessed with pain, as he says. But yeah, it was kind of like the opposing version of Orion and his like disdain for his own disfigured face, like looking too much like Darkseid, and him kind of masking that. The whole like Iron Maiden, I believe that's what it's called, that whole torture device trap for Mr. Miracle, I thought that was really smart. Like, how do you trap someone who can escape from anything? You put them through something that isn't technically designed to trap them. The only thing with that is if it was just Scott, he probably wouldn't be able to get out of that. But I feel like just someone's gonna come along and open the Iron Maiden, and that's gonna solve the problem. Unless I'm missing something, he's gonna be like eternally tortured for another 100 years or something. I don't know. The New Gods always do weird stuff like that. We get a little bit more about Maxwell Lord. We don't exactly know what his problem is. Why does he have the Omega symbol? What does he want with the New Gods and this new kid? Like, it's not super clear what his motivations are. We just know that whatever he's doing is bad. So I'm hoping they reveal a little bit more about what's going on in his head and on his head in the final issue, because I've been dying to know. Nightwing 131. I'm really enjoying this run. I think the whole introduction of the Nightwing Prime character as this kid is really cool to play with. My only concern is that they might just take him out of commission really early, which they sort of do in this issue. I don't know if he's going to be like out for the rest of the run. It would have been cool to see how Nightwing handles being a mentor to his own Robin, except his own Robin is like this kid who has all the powers of Superman. Kind of see them struggle a little bit with that, their dynamic in this, but he handles it really well, Nightwing. And then we get more direct mentions and connections to the Zany, this like weird cosmic horror jester figure that's following him around everywhere. I don't know what he is, fifth dimensional, sixth dimensional. We had dealings with Nightmite, so it almost seems like he's above interdimensional imps for some reason or somehow, or maybe he just caught him off guard or something like that. But we know he's extremely powerful, just jumping in and out of situations and getting in people's heads and creating kryptonite just out of thin air. I do wonder about his obsession with Nightwing, like what is his beef with him? Because they seem to like tie it back all the way to when he was a kid. So like, what's his beef with this kid? Unless it's one of those things where it's like this jester creature can see all of time, and he knew what Nightwing was going to become. There's also maybe some hints to the future with Olivia Pierce, the woman who is working with the Zanny, being named Columbina. Maybe it has to do with that Italian theater, especially with them like specifically saying the Zanny and Columbina. And I know those names are associated with that theater. So maybe we'll get other characters in that trope and they're all part of the Cirque du Sin, and it's going to be this whole thing. I do like giving Nightwing more villains that are just targeted towards him, and I like that there's like distinctness to these villains. I kind of hate when they do these things like Nightwing or like Darkwing, just kind of like reverses of a character. So I like that these are circus themed, but they're not like too close to Nightwing to be like essentially the same or anything like that. Like they fit the theme of what Nightwing villains might look like. But yeah, I do hope the Nightwing Prime character isn't like completely out because I would like more supporting characters that are concrete to stay with Nightwing. I think a big missed opportunity with a lot of like characters is they never have mainstays for like supporting characters or rogues galleries. It's always rotating with a new writer and like a new time, new run. There needs to be like concrete sameness that is familiar to the character, like things to help the character have a sense of identity essentially. The last one I read this week, or last two technically, is I have the regular A cover here, and then as I've been saying, I've been collecting the B covers because they have the teams. This one is SPD. I might have said this before, but I think I saw that they're stopping these, putting the Power Rangers teams on variant covers. I don't know why. They're obviously not done. They're only at SPD right now. I think the next one is Mystic Force, and then after that, they don't have anything. And I don't know why. Maybe they'll pick it back up after a short break or something like that, but we'll see. I think the pacing is still really killing me, but this issue itself actually has like some progression. Like there's some backstory, some lore drops, a lot of dad problems, especially with June and Lauren. Their dads come into play a little bit more in this story. And we also get some, I guess, backstory, more like lore drops. It's really just name drops, honestly, of the Zords. We see them hinted at a little bit, and then we kind of see them in the very end. I do think we need more backstory and at least like some attention to these characters because I think there's too many characters. Like the backstory flashback in the beginning just showed Jaden, and it makes me worry that Jaden's going to become a bigger character later when we already have so many characters that barely have any development at all. And this kind of focus on like Jaden and Lauren is also killing me because I'm not a samurai fan. I think my peak era of watching Power Rangers was probably like the post Zordon, like a little bit of In Space, and then post Zordon, and then like the Disney era. Like that kind of big chunk was kind of my era. Like I don't really care for the Nickelodeon era. As far as I can tell, it's not really worth going back to anyway. Going back to the Zords, we also learned that the animals are different. I thought they would be the same as the originals because they lean really hard into the T Rex part of the Red Ranger, and then we actually see a mini T Rex. But it looks like the animals are different this time. It's like a basilisk, a griffin, a unicorn, and then we get another dinosaur, a velociraptor, but for pink, which I thought was really weird. I don't know if they'll all get like little baby versions like we saw with a T Rex. That would be cool, honestly. It's very Digimon. I don't know if that was intentional, but like where your like gigantic world destroyer is also like your little pet. They weren't really a big part of this issue, but I still don't care about the VR troopers. Like, I get the point is to kind of put everything together in a cohesive way, but the VR troopers don't feel cohesive with this story or with Power Rangers in general. I've never been a fan of them, and I kind of hate that they're winning every single fight essentially. I don't know why they're that powerful. I don't know why they're that important. I want to stop seeing them. Finally, we have the new Frontier. This was actually really good. This was a lot better than I was expecting. I'm getting a little bit of Watchmen vibes from the general whole thing and also the way it ends, kind of. I think I watched the animated movie like years ago, but I don't really remember anything about it. But now that I've read the actual book, I can go back and watch the animated series just to see how it is. I know a lot of scenes are pretty one to one. I don't remember if the story is, but I know they kept the art style pretty similar too. The story does like play a whole bunch of different like angles and perspectives. So if you're not a big fan of stories jumping from character to character and like saying their POV and stuff, then that might be something to know before you read this because they do jump around like crazy. There's also a lot of strong Americana vibes. It takes place in the 1950s, post war. It's very like the kind of like nuclear family vibe, but it's not idealistic. It doesn't have rose tinted glasses over its eyes. It does address the problems that there are still here. It addresses it as much as it can, especially throughout the main story, but like a lot of the struggles of America at the time, especially with like oppression and war and how people will handle those things at the time. The Americana is definitely like still in your face, very much so, but it's more idealistic. Like it's not in your face like it's all sunshine and roses, but it's also not like a deconstruction of Americana. It just kind of like is, for better or worse. There are a lot of points where they take a moment and address some of the hard stuff back then, and it never takes away from the story at all. It actually flows really nicely. And I actually also would have liked to seen more of that because some of that stuff was more interesting than the main story. I would say the main characters are probably John Jones and Hal Jordan, even though I'm pretty sure they actually never meet in the book, but it always like goes between their POVs. Besides those two, it doesn't necessarily have a main character. It's kind of like about all of them and like the situation of superheroes post-war and America post-war. It focuses pretty heavy on like non-superhero characters actually, more so than I thought before I read it. So if like superheroes mixed with like government and post-war Americana is really interesting to you, then I definitely recommend this one. I think James Gunn also said, or at least the rumor is that he's using The New Frontier as like an inspiration for the DCU or something like that. I don't know how he's gonna do that. Hal in the upcoming Lantern show is way older than he should be compared to this book, and I guess somehow it's using the Salvation Planet as the island from this book. I don't know how that's gonna work either. It doesn't really seem like it'll translate well, especially with the 1950s setting. Like so much of this book is rooted in the 1950s setting, so modernizing it kind of seems impossible almost. But yeah, there was like a lot of things I was surprised about with the book, and obviously some stuff that dragged I didn't like. I still don't care about Flag. I didn't realize he was in this book before I read it, but I don't care for that character in any medium. I really liked Faraday and John. I liked them together. That was actually really good. And then near the end when we start seeing a lot more superheroes, the world kind of felt more alive and less enclosed. And like before, it felt everything was like super secret classified government. But then it started opening it up and it just felt like a whole actual like living world. And that was really nice. But yeah, that's everything I read. Now let's talk about everything new I got this week. First, let's talk about the newest compact comic I got, Why the Last Man. Still on track to getting every single compact comics. I don't know anything about this book, but I think there was a TV show, if I'm not mistaken. I've heard good things about this. I don't know anything about it. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get to read it soon because I have a lot of other books on my read list, but I will try to get to it eventually. Green Lantern Dark number 7. And this is the final issue of the series. I'm excited to see how it ends. It got a big cliffhanger at the end with a bunch of other Green Lanterns. I think this series was pretty just okay for me. I am interested in the rest of this Elseworlds, but I don't know if they're going to make any more in this Elseworlds anytime soon. The universe is cool, but I don't think this book specifically is doing that well. Immortal Legend Batman number 3. I'm excited to get to know more of this world. This is another Elseworlds. It seems okay. The first two issues, it just seems kind of okay. There's Riddler on the front here. So far they've been using Batman villains as like villain of the week types, but Riddler on this cover looks like a normal dude. So it'll be cool to see what that's all about and if there is going to be a villain of the week in the same style as the last two issues. But that one's just kind of okay to me. If this issue doesn't really do it for me, then I might drop the series and just get the trade later on. Especially because the series isn't like super exciting to me. But I was interested to see what like the sci-fi Batman series would look like. New History of the DC Universe number 4. I am not reading this series. I'll probably get the trade later. It's just easier to read something like this as a trade, especially since this is like an info dump of the DC canon. I really only got this trade because of Ty right here. He's a really cool character. He's got two books, Green Lantern Legacy, which is his first book, his intro book, and then Green Lantern Alliance, which is also pretty good. It's a sequel series, and then he doesn't have anything after that, but he's in cameos in some books, and he's in a bunch of variant covers like this one. But other than that, he hasn't been anything. He's also not canon to the main universe, but he's on this cover. So I'm hoping that's like a hint that he will become canon. Either like just pretend like he was always there, or we bring him over from his Earth. And then last, I got Power Rangers Halloween Special. I did not know this was coming out. I did not know anything about it, but I like Power Rangers and it's Halloween, so I might as well have grabbed it. I just saw it on the shelf in my comic book store and picked it up. So I had never heard about it before today, so I just kind of picked it up and grabbed it. I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping it's fun. I mean, it doesn't need to be crazy good, but I think it's cool to see stuff like this, like a Halloween special for Power Rangers. I know Power Rangers also has a lot of collabs. Right now, there is a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle one, the third one, but I haven't read the first one, so I might try to get those eventually. I'm actually a big fan of those collabs. I think they're a lot of fun. They're really silly, which also makes them really fun. But I'm gonna read this and then get back on next week's update. But yeah, that's everything I got and everything I'm reading. So let me know what you guys think. And if you got anything, if you've been reading anything, let me know. Look at this. I didn't want to clip it to my shirt again, so this is what we got.